time. Let's just begin by answering that first question. 1.8 trillion. Every year we keep saying the budget is increasing. Last time I think it was 1.2 trillion and we said the biggest ever. This year it's 1.8 and we're saying it's the biggest ever. Where will we get the money from? Or rather, where will the cabinet secretary get the money from?
Tony, out of this 1.8 trillion budget for 2014-2015, 1.08 trillion, which is about 56% of the budget, will come from the ordinary revenue. Ordinary revenue is the taxes that you and I pay, for example, PAYE, VAT, corporation tax, excise duty, and customs as well. Now, the balance of the budget will be expected to be received from external borrowings, internal borrowings, and grants as well. Right. So what this means is that the government will have to be very aggressive in mobilizing the resources from the ordinary taxes and then on borrowing from external sources and internal sources. So that's where it's going to come from.
Right. We'll look at borrowing from internal sources just shortly, but that's what I want to find out from you right now is this 1.8 trillion shillings is supposed to help the Mwananchi feel that he's living in a country that's progressive. How will this trickle down to him for him to actually feel where the 1.8 trillion shillings went to?
If you look at the planned allocation of the 1.8 trillion, obviously the government is keen to focus on the devolution, because we know what devolution has done for the last 1 year, which is to bring the services to the people at the local level. So there is an allocation of about 242 billion going to devolution. The government is very keen to spur the economic development by making the private sector to be much more conducive for investment. The government is keen on the agriculture to make the Kenya be food sustainable, and therefore various initiatives in agriculture like irrigation, food storage, strategic grain storage are things that are in place, together with the plans to have the basic services like education, water, and health. And infrastructure. So those are the key areas that this budget will be focusing on.
From the estimates which we already have and we know the figures, do you reckon that the government has its priorities right?
I think it has. The government has its priorities right because, for example, let me talk of agriculture, for example. Kenya is not yet food secure, and we expect a significant allocation in 2014-2015 budget to agriculture, so that we can move to a situation whereby we are food secure, we can create employment for the youth and the women due to agricultural activities. Also the area of infrastructure, which is very key, ongoing roads and new roads. Without good infrastructure, we cannot be able to move our goods from one place to the other. So if the government focuses on the areas of priorities that have been articulated in 2014-2015 budget statement, I think Kenya will obviously be able to achieve its economic growth, and that will trickle down to the ordinary Mwananchi. And not to forget the basic services of health, education, water, and rural energy as well.
Now I take you back to external borrowing, and we know the way the present government is acting with the other countries. It's more embracing the East than the West, and we know the West was giving donations that the East might not be giving. Is there a risk of not getting these funds for donations? And if that happens, what happens to the country?
I think the government is working very hard on this Eurobond, the 1.5 billion Eurobond, which translates to around 130 billion Kenya shillings thereabout. Because the risk of not getting this money is just too much to bear or too much to think about. So there's a lot of discussions going on with the potential investors to give Kenya that money. So there's very high chance that there will be success rate. The way it has been packaged, basically to prove that Kenya is a good investment destination, Kenya has the capability to be able to repay back, and Kenya is focusing on key economic growth areas. I think that gives me some element of confidence that we are likely to get that money. Now, obviously, if that money doesn't come through for any unlikely reason, remotely unlikely reason, then the government will have to resort to other sources of financing. And I see a situation whereby government resorting to internal borrowing, which is not a desirable situation, because that means crowding the private sector borrowing and therefore making the cost of financing to the private sector very, very, very expensive.
One last question, quick fire. Give me one sentence. What do we expect to hear from the CS tomorrow that will make Kenyans happy?
I think
I know we are all estimating what will come out of him, but what will he say? What could he say that would make us happy?
I think a very clear articulation on how the issues affecting the Kenya people are going to be addressed in the budget. As I mentioned earlier on, the issues of the basic services, provision of water, electricity, health, and making our goods accessible so that Kenya can be a food security destination and goods can move from one place to the other to enhance the trade in the private sector.
All right.
Yes.
Mr. Okundi, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. We're talking to Benson Okundi, the chairman of Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, just shedding light on what will happen tomorrow. And of course, you can follow the comprehensive coverage of the budget speech tomorrow right here at K24 TV. Away from matters of budget, which will occupy most of our attention tomorrow, Ernst & Young has been contracted by the government to audit civil service ahead of the government's plans for restructuring its labor force within the next financial year. This will include a restructuring of the parastatals to stop leakage of state funds and taming the wage bill. According to Geoffrey Carew, a senior partner at Ernst & Young, there will be no major cuts in terms of employment